Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. Here are the stories making headlines beyond the continent. We begin with the recent development in America, where U.S. President Joe Biden says politics shouldn't be a killing field after an assassination attempt targeted Donald Trump on Saturday. Biden went on to describe the coming election as a time of testing. Trump was wounded in the ear after a gunman opened fire at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. One person was killed and two more were critically injured in the attack.
Be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election we make in this election is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured. I spoke with him last night. I'm grateful. He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. The Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision.
The director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Chittle, has released a statement, and in it she says security plans for the Republican National Convention this week has been reviewed and strengthened after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Chittle said her agency is working with all involved federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to understand what happened, how it happened, and how they can prevent an incident like the assassination attempt from happening again. She says officers on the ground moved quickly during the incident, killing the gunman and implementing protective measures to ensure the safety of former President Donald Trump. Chittle adds that the agency understands the importance of the independent review that's been announced by President Biden and says the Secret Service will participate fully. Judge Eileen Cannon dismissed in its entirety the classified document case against Donald Trump on Monday, ruling that the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith had violated the Constitution, and her decision is sure to be appealed. In the stunning ruling, the judge, Eileen M. Cannon, found that because Mr. Smith had not named to the post of special counsel, his appointment was in violation of the appointment clause of the Constitution. Trump was charged last year with unlawfully retaining national defense information and obstruction by holding onto top secret documents after leaving the White House. He pleaded not guilty and was charged alongside two defendants who also pleaded not guilty. Judge Cannon's ruling has no impact on Trump's criminal conviction in Manhattan, which was brought by a local district attorney, not a special counsel. To further discuss this, I'm joined by Ejike Okpa. He's a global affairs analyst. Hello, Ejike. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Thank you for having me.
So I would love to hear your thoughts or your opinion on Judge Cannon's ruling on the classified documents case and how you think it might affect the balance of power between the executive branch and the judiciary in the United States.
Well, good question. Federal judges in America are a very powerful position, and they can rule on something, and once they rule, either it rules in favor of or against the other party. So what happens in this case will be an appeal. The Justice Department, under under merit can decide to appeal it, or can decide, what, it's not worth it, because even if you file an appeal, the election is still going to be held. There's no time for all of that to happen. So, what is happening in the balance of power? The balance of power is still the balance of power, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. So that aspect, they have just done what it is that they're supposed to do in the American legal system, just like every other legal system in the world. When you don't get the judgment you want, you're very likely to be angry and say something. But this is how it is, and we're just going to look forward to what is next.
All right, so with this ruling, will there be potential implications for future investigations into presidential conduct?
Of course, there will be something. America is an unrelenting and untiring country. You just have to live here to witness it. Thank God for social media, for instant messaging. We can see what's going on. But for those of us that live here, every second is different from the last. And so, of course, our presidents are not kings. Our presidents are not monarchies. They are human beings. They have to, do what it is they have to do to stay, within the bounds of the law. They have immunity, but that immunity also has limitations in the sense there are certain things they cannot do. So we'll just keep an eye on them. Unlike other countries, when you say something against your president, you might get missing. In America, we can say stuff to our president. That's why we call them Mr. President, not Your Excellency or Your Majesty or Your Lord. So they recognize that, and they do the things. They are not perfect human beings. I don't look for angels in politics. I look for angles. At the end of the day, any one of us who steps into that position is going to get mud thrown at them. So that's not what we want. We just want to encourage them to do the job. Because they are human beings, they get 24 hours in a day. The president doesn't get extra 1 second. He still has to go to sleep and wake up and say, what am I going to do to the best of my ability? Sometimes that best of our ability turns out to be something somebody else doesn't like, and they get what they get.
Okay, so but what about Trump's legal troubles? Do you think that it will impact his relationship with world leaders and also his ability to negotiate on behalf of the United States?
No, it's not. I mean, America is not the world. The world is interested in what America does because of the power and the influence that comes out of that office. But we don't care about the world leaders. They don't decide who we choose or who we elect as president. So whenever we elect that president, they have to deal with them until they're out of it. So the world, yes, we welcome the reactions and the feelings, but the American voters have the ultimate right as to who they want to be in the Oval Office. As to, just like when Trump was there for the 4 years, we saw there were no wars. Everybody had to be in line because, he's one individual that got to the office without having been a senator or any other political office. He went straight from a business office to a political office. And established politicians just don't like it because the established politicians think, you have to go this route. There's this ABCD, climb, but Trump defied all of that. And so their resentment and the sentiments towards him is partly because of that, because he's defied all the political, permutations that have been put out on how to become president. And I think he's going to do a great job. And the other thing is that, if he had won the second term, his second term would have been termed a lame duck. But now he's more like getting a break. So he's coming back. And he's not going to be a lame duck. He's going to be just fully energized because, the best president is a former president who took break and comes back to the job.
All right, Ejike, now let's switch back to the assassination attempt on Trump, which has actually raised concerns about political violence in the United States. How do you think this incident, compared to other instances of political violence globally? And do you think that there are lessons that can be learned from this, or from international experiences in addressing such threats?
Well, security is local. Every president can tell you that when they wake up, they have to look at their own security details and make sure that everything is okay. You even saw in Japan that never had a political violence. A prime minister got stabbed, not killed by a gun, but somebody stabbed them. America has always had this sort of experience. Back in 1802 or 1804, the vice president, killed the secretary of treasury because at that time, the way they set up scores is you should just go across the yard and then you all shoot each other until we passed the anti-dueling law, and that stopped. And then, of course, Lincoln was assassinated, Kennedy was assassinated, there was an attempt on Reagan and an attempt on so many other presidents. It would never go away. So our security people keep improving. There are always going to be lapses because, these are human beings, So when they think they have it together, somebody else might find an angle or a loophole and do what they do. So for anybody in that office, as much as, people think it's a glamorous job, to be president of a country is not a glamorous job. It's not a celebrity job. It's a hard job. And, as much as you try to do it right, sometimes you do it wrong because we're human beings. And so this incident is just another example of what human beings are capable of doing. And you never know what is making somebody want to go home and say, I'm gonna do something, and they do it, and then we react. The hindsight in this case is always the best teacher, but it doesn't tell you what else is going to happen in the future.
All right. Now, President Biden's speech today emphasized that politics should not be a killing field. I would love to know, Ejike, do you believe this message resonates with the American public?
Of course, it resonates. I mean, I'm a Republican. I would hate for the same thing to happen to Biden. I want us to have the war of words. I want us to have very severe and vicious argument and debate about what, at the end of the day, every American is entitled to a vote, and you have the right to exercise that vote. The billionaire doesn't get a billion votes. The millionaire doesn't get everybody. This is one thing that equalizes every American who is eligible to vote. One man, one woman, one vote. So I hope some people will pay attention to what the president said and say, you know what, we don't have to be like anybody else. Other people may want to be like America, but we don't want to copy what is going on in Mexico, in Nigeria, or China, or Russia. This is America. Every politics is local, and this is local to us. We just don't want to be killing our politicians because we don't like them. I think this is, in my own recollection of American presidential history, this is the first time an attempt has been made on a presidential candidate. Usually it is when they are in office. And it makes arouses some questions, because of all the attempt to smear Trump, take him to court, for cases that are now falling apart, and then now the physical attempt on his life. Americans are saying, this is not the country we want. This is not the America that should be a symbol, of fairness, equity, and justice. But again, he survived it. And so we're looking forward to November 5. To where, see who will sympathize with him and vote for him, or those who say, to hell with it, I don't like you, I'm not going to vote for you. We don't do selection, we do election.
All right, well, thank you so much, AGK, for speaking to us on this.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, in South America, the Venezuelan opposition has denounced repression against them by the ruling Chavismo, with new arrests of activists 2 weeks before the presidential election on July 28th. At least 9 people have been detained in 4 states across the country, according to the campaign team. Another 14 were already detained by intelligence services, and 6 others are sheltered in an Argentine embassy in Caracas. Among those arrested is the owner of a truck that served as a platform for a rally by Gonzalez and Machado in Valencia. The state government of Rio de Janeiro launches a massive police operation in 10 favelas in the west of the city to stop the war between drug traffickers and vigilante groups in the area. The open-ended operation, launched Monday, aims to end the war between drug trafficking and militias in this area of western Rio, as 2,000 police have been deployed. Commando Vermelho, drug trafficking cartel in Rio region, has been trying to recover territories for the militias in the area, and the militias first formed around 4 decades ago when former police officers and soldiers band together to offer protection from violent drug cartels. They then transformed into powerful criminal organizations that control large swaths of the city, extorting money from residents and venturing into drug and arms trafficking. Beyond the Continent resumes after the break. In Europe, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday says that Russia should be represented at a second summit aiming for securing lasting peace with the Kremlin after more than 2 years of war. Dozens of world leaders voiced support for a just peace in Ukraine after a high-level summit convened by Zelensky last month in Switzerland, to which Russia was not invited. Zelensky says at a press conference in Kiev, where he lays out preparatory work for a follow-up summit after the first gathering last month in Switzerland. According to him, he believes that Russian representatives should be at the second summit. The Kremlin said that any discussions around ending the conflict that did not include Russia were absurd.
Партнерів, я вважаю, все буде зроблено. Вважаю, що для цього ми будемо готові наблизити максимально другий саміт, і вважаю, що представники Росії повинні бути на другому саміті.
Serbia plans to build its first wastewater treatment plant to tackle decades of water pollution caused by sewage and industrial waste being directly discharged into the Sava and Danube rivers. Despite decades of pledges to clean up its waterways, the Serbian capital is the only one in Europe to spew all its untreated wastewater into the rivers. Every year, the city of some 1.6 million people excretes enough sewage to fill 60,000 Olympic swimming pools into the Danube, Europe's second longest river, and its tributaries. Now, hopes for the city's water quality were raised in June after authorities announced they had found candidates willing to build a much-needed sewage treatment plant.
Ovo je jedna od crnih tačaka Beograda. Ovdje je veliki izliv kanalizacione mreže centralnog dela Zemuna. Znači, ne je bio toliki problem da postoji ured za prečišćavanje, to ne postoji, nego se direktno izliva u Dunav, kao i nekoliko desetina i stotina većih i malih izliva u reke Savu i Dunav. I u vodi. Znači, sav živi svet se truje sa otpadkom i raspadanjem tih otpadnih voda. Da ne govorimo o tome. Zatim, a ovdje boravaju, tu su dečji parkovi, ljudi šetaju i tako dalje, vazduh, znači smrada, tako da kažem da repetan miris od svega toga nije fikcija, to je materija. To znači unosimo u sebe.
Primećujem problem ulivanja otpadnih voda jer smrdi i nastaje pomor ribe. Kor imate Čukarički rukavac gdje se izliva fekalna kanalizacija, pogotovo leti kad voda padne, smrdi mnogo.
Let's head to Asia now, where China says the fundamentals of the economy continue to improve after posting lower than expected growth in the second quarter, with all eyes on top officials in Beijing on Monday. The world's second largest economy is grappling with a real estate debt crisis, weakening consumption, and an aging population. Trade tensions with the United States and the European Union, which have sought to limit Beijing's access to sensitive technology, as well as putting up tariffs to protect their markets from cheap, subsidized Chinese goods, are also dragging growth down. And on Monday, official statistics showed the economy grew by only 4.7% in the second quarter of the year, It represents the slowest rate of expansion since early 2023, when China was emerging from the crippling zero-COVID policy that strangled growth.
中国经济的基本面持续向好，推动经济回升的积极因素累积增强。中国是外资企业投资兴业的热土，我们将继续着力营造市场化、法治化、国际化的一流营商环境，为外资企业在中国投资经营做好。
Clashes between rival students in Bangladesh leave at least 100 people injured as demonstrators opposing quotas for coveted government jobs battle counter-protesters loyal to the ruling party, police said. Students launched protests earlier this month demanding a merit-based system, and they have continued despite Bangladesh's top court suspending the quota scheme and blamed the ruling party students for the violence. Police and witnesses said hundreds of anti-quota protests and students backing the ruling Awami League party battled for hours on Dhaka University campus, hurling rocks, fighting with sticks and beating each other with iron rods, and some carried machetes while others threw petrol bombs. A police inspector, Masood Mir, said around 100 students, including women, were injured and had been taken to hospital.
তো বিজয় একাত্তর হলে প্রথমত হামলাটা হয়। আমরা পরবর্তীতে ভিসিতে আবার ব্যাক করার সময় ওখানে কিছুক্ষণ অবস্থান করতেছিলাম, যখন আমরা ভিসি চত্বরে অবস্থান করে কিছুক্ষণ কথা বলে বিশেষ করে তখনই ভিসিতে পিছন থেকে এসে ওরা আমাদের উপরে আবার হামলা করে। ছাত্রলীগ আমাদের।
And in the Middle East, mourners gather at Khan Yunis's Nasser Hospital around the body of a Palestinian civil defense worker killed in an Israeli strike on southern Gaza's Al-Mawasi. The health ministry in the Hamas-run Gaza Strip said at least 92 people had been killed and 300 wounded in the strike on Al-Mawasi on July 13, an Israeli-designated safe zone on the Mediterranean coast. Israel said it had targeted militant commander Mohammed Deif, who has been among Israel's most wanted men for decades and is accused by Israeli authorities of helping to mastermind the October 7th attack. Paramedics from the Palestinian Red Crescent said they had retrieved the bodies of 5 people, including 3 children, after Israeli airstrikes in the Al-Maghazi camp, also in the Central Strip. And that's all at this hour. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.